Before you watch this video, I would highly encourage you to play the game if you haven't already. I will be discussing spoilers and the ending, but I'll give you a warning before the real spoilers start flying. When you first start up Outer Wilds, you're greeted with both an incredibly sci-fi concept and also maybe the polar opposite of that. You wake up on your back, staring at a green planet hovering overhead as an explosion on an orbiting object breaks it apart, a tiny blue ball flinging off into the distance. What was that object? Did someone shoot that thing? Why is that planet so close? Then you sit up and you're outside in the woods. An alien sitting on a fallen tree is roasting a marshmallow. Other than the creature having 4 eyes, it's a typical summer camping scene with sleeping bags gathered around a campfire. This creature and the player character are Hearthians, a spacefaring race whose spaceships are less Mass Effect sleek metal and glass, and more hastily thrown together string and wood rust bucket chic. The alien explains that before your first launch, it is tradition to spend the night outside looking up at the stars. This sets the tone for a lot of the game, as space travel in Outer Wilds feels more like a camping trip than a terrifying venture into a deadly vacuum that could kill you at any moment. Clearly, some advanced tech is here. There's an anti-gravity crystal, your ship has a reactor that can and will explode. You've even got a computer that helps you keep track of where you've been and what you've learned. But still, everything feels handcrafted and cobbled together in a way that feels like you've gone to summer camp, not that you're on the cutting edge of technology. Once you've been exploring for a bit, you'll see quite a variety in atmospheres. There's crazy sci-fi stuff, fascinating wildlife, awe-inspiring weather, and even a few genuinely creepy moments.
Holy shit! Holy shit! Holy... Ah! Ah!
It's comforting that almost everywhere you can end up in the solar system, you'll find evidence of others who have been there before you. In most places, you'll likely be able to find another Hearthian explorer hanging out with some trees and playing some familiar music to remind you of your home on Timber Hearth. All of the characters you'll meet are friendly and endearing, excited for you to take your first foray into space as some sort of coming-of-age experience. You're not the first to go into space, and the various Hearthians you'll meet explain how you can locate other Hearthonauts who are already out and about the solar system. There's no great conflict happening, no villain out to sabotage your spacecraft. It looks like it's barely holding it together as it is. You've just been told to go get your launch code so you can start your adventure. So, what's the point of this game? What's your objective other than just to explore? How do you win? Initially, Outer Wilds isn't concerned with these questions. Just get out there into space. See the sights. You are asked by your marshmallow roasting friend what you're planning to do when you get to space, and although you have quite a few options you can answer them with, none of them lock you into any particular course of action. Once you're in the ship, you can flit around the solar system in any order you'd like. Outer Wilds is an adventure game, in every sense of the word. Sometimes people hear adventure game and think point and click, but that's not really what Outer Wilds is. There's puzzles to solve, but none of them require combining one object with another or picking the right dialogue options. Other than a few forced conversations at the beginning of the game, you don't have to talk to anyone. But from the start, you are asked to just get out there, go adventure. A small space museum at the start will give you a glimpse of the sorts of things you'll find as you explore. There's a quantum rock, a little anglerfish, alien writing. You're the first one who has an alien translator, so you'll be able to figure out what all these circular drawings say, a first in Hearthian history. Once you get the launch codes and head down toward your ship, something else a bit strange happens. One character does respond when you talk to them about this, but they seem mostly unfazed. Oh well, weird stuff happens. Good luck not dying in space. While it is great to simply pop around and explore, if you need them, you've got a few breadcrumbs for mysteries for you to go figure out. So, what do you do first? Land on the moon? Look for the writing of the ancient Nomai to try out your translator? Just go visit the other Hearthians out in the solar system? Or go investigate whatever that weird explosion was? It's totally up to you, and the game doesn't really try to push you in one way or another. There's a lot to explore, but the solar system isn't huge. Each of the planets is closer to the size of a Mario Galaxy level than a full-sized planet. You might need to suspend your disbelief a bit, as while there is gravity and atmosphere, space objects of this size probably wouldn't really work like this. There's also plenty to explore on each planet despite their small size. They've all got multiple locations to discover, ancient alien ruins to explore, puzzles to suss out, other Hearthians to talk to, and dangers to avoid. There's no combat at all in Outer Wilds, but there certainly are dangers, and you'll probably die through misadventure quite a few times over the course of the game.
Pull up, have to... Alright, nope. Oh, shit. Let's go faster. Must go... No. Okay, that's too close. Turn around, turn it around!
Flying your ship is easy enough with a controller, but it can take a little getting used to. After about 20 minutes in space, you'll probably have found some really cool stuff and have a decent handle on the controls, ready to leave wherever you've ended up and go explore somewhere else.
And then the sun explodes!
What? Well, when you wake up again at the campfire, you still know your launch codes, and you can talk to the alien roasting a marshmallow and ask about your death a few seconds ago, but they don't seem to notice anything has gone amiss. So now you've got another mystery, and you're stuck in your own Groundhog Day-style time loop. Except, instead of going to sleep, the sun explodes. If you're intrigued enough that you'd like to play now, probably go ahead and turn off the video here, because we're gonna get into some real spoilers, including talking about the ending from here. Good? Good. Outer Wilds is a game that answers the question, if a tree falls in the forest and no one is around to hear it, does it make a sound? According to Outer Wilds, the answer is a resounding no. In a game like Dark Souls, the story is cryptic and enigmatic. A big boss and an evildoer who are trying to destroy the world are not laid before you to slay, oh brave hero you. Sure, there's enemies to defeat, but why are you defeating them? If you want to know what's going on in Lordran, you have to do research, read item descriptions, seek out NPCs that may or may not die depending on your choices. You can beat all of the Souls games without ever really knowing what was going on. But if you put a little time into it, piecing together that information is a joy. Whether you watch YouTube videos from people like VatiVidya, or spend the time to come to your own conclusions, discovering the rich history of that crumbling world is exciting and fascinating. There's a deep lore there that many players will simply never experience. Exploring those crumbling castles and bizarre forests is fun on its own, but knowing that those things have an intricate, connected backstory that explains why things are the way they are makes the whole game feel richer and more exciting. But while you can finish Dark Souls without having one iota of what's going on, Outer Wilds refuses to let you finish it without understanding what happened. You certainly can beat it in under 20 minutes if you look up what to do, you madman, but that sort of defeats the point. All the exploring and puzzle solving you're doing starts to piece together a greater picture. The sun is exploding every 20 minutes, so obviously we need to stop that, right?
At first, I was convinced it was this sketchy-looking Hearthian. He's got explosives, he's got weird space artifacts, and he even has a spy satellite. This is Big Brother right here. What are you up to? Unfortunately, my attempts to defeat him were futile since he apparently employs some sort of force field. Figuring I would find a way to defeat him later, I tried to check out the space station that exploded.
It turns out to be a probe launcher, searching for something called the Eye of the Universe, which supposedly orbits this sun at a great distance. Okay, so maybe that's related. Let's keep looking. Each new location gives you a better idea of what's going on and points you toward another mystery or location, sometimes giving you clues to solve other puzzles, and sometimes giving you more backstory and information about the people that came before you. Eventually, you'll start to get a really good picture of the Nomai, the alien race that lived in this solar system before the Hearthians. I had a few moments of really profound sadness when I realized what had happened to the Nomai whose escape pod got trapped in the dark bramble, and again when I discovered why only their buildings and occasional bones were left throughout the solar system. I was confident that the weird station orbiting the sun had something to do with the supernova, and I tried to get there. A few failed attempts later, I explored elsewhere and discovered there were portals mentioned in the High Energy Lab. Be careful in there, by the way. And I eventually made it onto the sun station. This was a really epic and harrowing experience, being so close to the sun, but I was confident I had at last figured out a mystery and had neared the end of the game. No, it turns out it's harder to make the sun explode than you might think. For a little while, I was shocked. The absolutely amazing design of the sun station certainly helped, but I just sat there until the station fell into the expanding star. The Nomai were powerful and advanced, but it turns out they weren't that powerful and advanced. So why was the sun exploding? Eventually, you'll piece together what the Nomai were trying to do. The sun station was designed to power the Ash Twin project. Assuming everything worked, the Nomai would fire the probe launcher, and then use the sun station to make the sun go supernova, using the power of the exploding star to launch data backwards in the past 22 minutes with the Ash Twin project. This would let them essentially fire the probe off in every possible direction in an instant. Then, once they discovered the eye of the universe's location, they could disable the sun station without actually blowing up the star and killing everyone. Fun little detail here, the probe station is facing a random direction every time the loop starts over, because that's what it was designed to do. Since the sun station didn't work, and the Nomai met an unfortunate end to ghost matter, they never got to finish this project, but everything still sat there, protected and ready to activate. So, time passes. A lot of time. Enough time for the Harthians to evolve into the spacefarers they are now. And unfortunately for them, enough time for the universe to reach the end of its lifespan. Nothing is causing the sun to explode except for time. Another Harthian comments on the number of supernovas they've seen amongst the stars lately, and as your 22 minutes passes, you can watch as the stars twinkle and fade away until there's barely any left in the sky. The whole universe is dying out. All this is to say that simply cutting straight to the end of the game without exploring and seeing what was left behind in the solar system is to deprive yourself of the true meaning of the game. One of the final button prompts over a tiny model of the universe is observe, because that is really what you're doing for the entire game. Nothing you do really changes anything. Everything resets every 22 minutes. The only thing in the game you can really affect is how much knowledge you alone have. If you're the type of person who skips cutscenes and doesn't read dialogue, you may be able to get through some of the puzzles, but what have you really done to progress? Many objects in the game disappear if you are not directly observing them, such as the wandering quantum moon. Once you've figured out you can use your camera to observe objects, locking them into place, you open up a few more locations and solutions. The game itself is like this on a meta level. In order to lock in your experience, you need to observe it, to experience each location and all of its wonder and the stories of what came before. A conscious observer needs to be present to really appreciate and savor the reality of what's going on. But the universe in Outer Wilds isn't content to explode and die out forever in darkness. The mystery of the eye of the universe pervades throughout the game, and when the player character finally discovers how to enter the eye, they see all of it, every star in existence coalescing with light before fading into blackness. Documents by one of the Harthian scientists imply that every other star is moving away from the Harthian one, an expanding universe with their sun in the center. Perhaps this is why the eye of the universe can be found here. It's the center, the eye of the storm of creation. The eye, though never fully explained, seems to want the player to find it, to enter into it, and to observe all of creation one last time before it all fades into darkness. You've made it here, to the end of all things. Care to watch them start again? Life continues in the universe, and one inhabitant of the previous cycle gets to take a look at the next Big Bang, even helping to shape the next universe with their music before the raw forces of creation overwhelm them. Outer Wilds is a game about death and about rebirth, a game about knowledge and understanding, of observing the universe and appreciating the beauty and wonder of the worlds and the people that once stood there. Solanum, the only living, or maybe not, Nomai in the game, even asks you, suppose you could reach the eye of the universe. Would you try to enter it? What do you suppose the effects of a conscious observer might be? The game ends with you finding out. A conscious observer enters the eye of the universe as all the stars turn to night. You play the music of creation for the next generation of life as everything, literally everything, expands outwards again. Is this simply a natural phenomenon starting up once again? Or did you, by observing the center of creation, lock it down into a concrete state? With your observation, for a brief moment, were you the creator of the next universe? If you enjoyed this video, I'd really appreciate it if you would like and subscribe and all of that. If you'd like to see more videos from me, leave a comment about what game you'd like me to talk about next. And remember, the internet is a toxic place sometimes. Do your best to clean it up. Thanks for watching.